So, I've been watching a bunch of other YouTubers lately. I do that a lot, funnily enough. Being on YouTube, watching other YouTubers, holy shit. And basically, I have noticed this pattern in people talking specifically about, hey, here's how to advance really, really quickly. And what they do is the same thing that I've seen in the coaching space, which is they try something and they get some results, and then they go, ooh, this works. Let me hurry and get something out there to tell people about the thing I tried that works. Most of them have absolutely no fucking clue why it works or how it works or what exactly they're doing that makes it work. They don't know, they don't typically know what it is that makes the difference between the results they're seeing now and the results they were getting before. And I see this lately from a lot of different YouTubers who are saying, here's how to make a lot of progress really, really fast. Well, the fact of the matter is, in order to make a lot of progress really, really fast, I'm actually going to go full screen on this because I got some stuff to talk about. There's like other stuff, and that's going to have to be full screen anyway. So kind of what's helping them progress very, very quickly is they got to the point where they had to progress. There are a dozen pieces that need to fit into a puzzle for you to make it up that next step to the next level, okay? And what happens is people will be trying to fit these pieces together and they'll get most of the pieces, but then they don't get all of them. And then they find the last piece and they go, ooh, suddenly I get the last piece in the puzzle. I make that step up. And, hey guys, you know what? The one thing you need is this last piece of the puzzle that I put in. You need the whole puzzle. You need all of the pieces. Okay, that's just the last piece you placed. It's like, imagine somebody saying, hey, the way you solve a Rubik's Cube is to turn the left side 90 degrees counterclockwise. Well, that's only if the cube is in a particular orientation. That only solves the cube in one specific case. It's not going to work in any of the others. And just kind of the way people respond to that is they go, I did that with my cube and it didn't solve it. It didn't fix the problem. And the people go, oh, well, you must have done it wrong. Try it again. Maybe you were holding it backwards and you're supposed to turn the right side. Have you tried turning it off and back on again? And people just don't really do the work on that. Let me get this out of the way. I'm going to need some space here. Because, well, the thing that I want to talk about here is going to involve some props. And the thing about these YouTubers that are going, here's how to improve really, really fast, is this one final piece of a puzzle with a dozen pieces that I've already put together. The people who are saying that haven't always thought about why that was the piece that got them to the next level. Okay? Because you got to work on several of your fundamentals to take a step up to the next level. I'm working on my fundamentals. I haven't made a next step. In fact, I feel like I've taken a couple of steps backward. I probably haven't, but I've been trying to take this next step upward, and I've been trying to work on stuff. I haven't gotten there yet. I don't feel like there's been a major breakthrough, but I did figure something out that I think is fairly important. And I want to talk about it. Like to hear it? Here you go. So anyway, this right here is a cake box. It's literally the box they would give you a cake in at the bakery. Okay? And I'm going to use this as kind of as a pedestal, as a background. There are other things you could use. You could use a piece of foam core. Got a big old piece of foam core over here. But if you just if you go to your local grocery store and you walk up to the bakery and you say, hey, can I buy a cake box? They might just give you a couple. You know, I mean, if you don't ask, you never find out. And even if they want to charge you for them, they're only going to be like $1 or so. Worst case, they make you buy a cake. Oh my God, I have to eat a cake. Oh, how will I ever survive? But anyway, I need this kind of background here because I have a thing. I picked up a thing. And what I picked up was, funnily enough, a child's toy. Now, this particular toy is for toddlers, and what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to there's a little card that comes with it, and the card has the names of all of the different shapes that are in the bag, and you're supposed to take your little child who's like a year old or something, and you're supposed to teach them the names of all of the shapes. And you're supposed to hold up the shape and go, hey, what shape is this? And you hold up, like, the, let's see. You hold up the cylinder, you go, what shape is this? And they say, cylinder. And you're like, yes, it's a cylinder. Good job. And you go, what shape is this? And they go, it's a cube. You go, yay, it's a cube. Good job. And then you hold this, and then you hold up, there's another very specific one I need. There it is. There it is. And you go, what's that? And they go, that's a ball. Everybody knows what a ball is. And there's more in here, but they're not important at the moment. Once they know what the things are, you show them the thing, and you go, what is it? And they go, I know what that is. And then you start having them reach into the bag and pull the item out. You say, find this one, and they go find that one. And there's all kinds of like games that you play with your child with these. But that's not what I care about. No, what I care about is these are great still life models. And the reason I picked these particular ones out is the 3 core models that you need to be concerned with are the box, the ball, and the barrel. And the reason you need to be concerned with these is because they are exactly what matters in terms of fundamental notions. I'm gonna need my phone to take a picture here in a minute, so let me just grab that. And here's the thing, all right? When you go to an art class and you're in a class of like 30 people, and some of them are very advanced and some of them are at a very basic level, and all of these people, they sit them down and go, here, draw the still life or paint the still life. And you're like, God, this is fucking boring. Why do they want me to do this shit? And the reason is because no matter what your level, there's a wealth of information here. And I'm going to take a picture of these models so that we can kind of discuss what exactly it is you're supposed to be looking for. Now let me grab just the right angle there. There we go. And then we'll plug this back in and we'll do a very quick move the file thing. Let's go. Where's my proper folder? There's my phone folder. There's my camera folder. There's the picture I just took, and then we'll drag that down here into Clip Studio, and then we will jump over into Clip Studio. We'll jump back out of this. We may jump back to a full screen kind of thing a little bit later on, but the important thing right now is that we get in here and we take a look at this image. So let's come on in here and add a new layer, so I got something to work on there. And we'll use a kind of red. And I have just managed to make a ruler because I was doing some perspective stuff earlier. So there we go. That's okay. How's that? So yeah, there we go. There we go. Something right in there. Maybe a little darker. There we go. Okay, so the first thing that you want to notice here, and we're going to zoom in on some of these. The first thing you want to take a look at, well, first of all, I have 2 light sources because I know how to make videos. And what you need is, you need a key light that is your brightest light, and you need a fill light to fill in the area where the key light is making shadows. So you put these things together, you put the 2 lights at 90 degrees, and that gives you a better lighting situation for your video. So clearly, I have some idea what I'm doing with video. Don't tell anybody, they'll start expecting me to edit and shit. But here's the thing I want you to really notice. Right up here next to the item, notice how this shadow, and let me just kind of keep my distance from it. Notice how this shadow has a very sharp edge. But as you get farther away, it has a very soft edge. All the way at the end, it has this very soft edge. Notice also right here, the very crisp edge that gets softer as you get farther out from the object. And here, where the 2 shadows cross, and it gets darker, okay? You can also see all of the different elements of shading right here on this ball. You got your highlight right here. In fact, you got 2 highlights because we got 2 light sources. You've got your base color over here. You've got your terminator right here. You've got your core shadow right there. You've got reflected light right in here. You've got all of the different elements of shading are right there on this one model. And you have the same thing over here on this model. Here's your specular highlight. Here's your midtone. Here's your terminator. Here's your core shadow, the darkest part of the shadow. Here's the reflected light coming up off of the backdrop. And all of these bits and pieces are right here, okay? And when you back up a little bit, if we back out to full, and we just go, okay, let's zoom in on this. Okay? You've got perspective. You've got the perspective of the cube. And another thing that you'll notice is when we zoom back out once more, okay? Notice the difference in how shading is applied on the individual items. Because what we've got here with the cube, this cube is flat on every face. And because it's flat, there's a fairly even tone all the way across each face. And that fairly even tone all the way across each face is the way that you would shade a cube if you were drawing it. You would shade this side over here. Let's make that a little bigger. You would shade that as the darkest side. And then you would go, okay, well, this would be a lighter color right here. And then up here, it'd be an even lighter color. And that gives you a three-dimensional appearance to your work right there. Now, these 3 specific shapes, the reason that these specific shapes are the most important, you need something round because it's curved on both the top and the bottom, okay? It's curved on the top, it's curved on the side. Whereas over here, you got your cylinder, it's flat on the top. Let's be a little bit more. It's flat on the top, but it's curved on the side. You can see right here, you've got that curve as it goes around. This is flat on the top, flat on the sides. All of these sides are flat. And the difference in a shape that is curved in 2 directions and a shape that is curved in 1 direction and a shape that is flat in both directions, the difference in shading on all of these things is going to apply to anything, because absolutely anything that you want to draw, no matter what it is, if you just grab some random thing like this bottle of Windex, you look here, this side is curved. This side is flat, but it has these curved indentations in it. This entire shape can be rendered down. You could say which parts of this bottle are flat, which parts of this bottle are curved. And that's all you really need to worry about. And that's all you need to get the shading on something this shape. Now, it's a little bit more complex because it's translucent and you can see through it and all of that happy horse shit. But it's all a matter of understanding what types of round and flat you're looking for. Is it flat one way and round the other? Is it round one way and round the other? Is it flat one way and flat the other? And these are the basics of shading everything. But there's all of this other stuff to that. You've got the individual wood grain of the item. You've got the wood grain of the cylinder, the wood grain of the box. You've got the wood grain of the ball. All of these things are there to be looked at. You could be looking at, where are the edges? Can I draw the edges of the cylinder? Can I draw the edge of the ball? Can I draw that perfect circle? Can I draw the cube in perspective? And you can draw, or you can paint. You can say, well, what is the shape of this? You can take a much larger brush and you can go, okay, well, this is the shape. Let's fill that in. You can say, this is the shape. Let's fill that in. You can worry about values. You can worry about colors. You can worry about all kinds of things. And the reason that a still life is so useful is because there's so much to look at here, and it just kind of automatically fills into your level. If you just think about, what is it that I want to do? How do I make my picture look more realistic? There's always another additional level that you can use to get that result, okay? And to just kind of add a little bit more onto this, okay? You can pop this box open, and you can put the objects inside of it, and you can look at how the shadows fall across the corner. That's kind of hard to see, so let me switch over to the straight cam. And it's still kind of hard to see. But, okay, I don't know how to make this obvious, but if I just lift this up, you can see that the shadow is falling across the back of the box. Well, you really can't. I did not think this through. But yeah, let's grab a flashlight. That'll work. So you can see, if I shine the flashlight in there, how the shadow goes across the bottom. Whoa, you can't actually see shit, can you? Okay, there we go. That's better. You can, this is real. Let's use that a little bit lower. Man, that is still way too bright. Use a slightly less intense light. Okay, how's that one? Okay, yeah. So you can see how the shadow goes along the bottom and then up the back, okay? And because it's going along the bottom and up the back, you can see the change in how it operates, where your light is. As your light goes higher, the shadow doesn't go as far up the back, but as it goes lower, you can see the difference in where the shadow happens and how the shadow is shaped. And you can use all kinds of lights for this. If you really want to get detailed about it, you can grab yourself a little kind of gooseneck video light that has multiple different light intensities and colors. So you can turn it down, you can change the temperature of the light. I'm not sure how much of that you can actually see on the video. I'm looking at the preview and I'm just like, I don't see shit. I don't know. This is a bad example here. But yeah, get yourself some little blocks like this. It can be like anything, and use those to study values and light and shadow and all of that stuff. And if you really want to get involved, then obviously you can get the Bodychan artist models, and you could shine a light on that and make it look however you want it to look. And you go, look, I got a little naked girl that sits on my cake box. So that's not fantastic. Hard to explain to people sometimes. But yeah, that's kind of the thing that I wanted to go over there, is just this whole concept of why being boring isn't really a problem for still life, because what you're actually trying to do is you're trying to learn something here. Like, look at this specular highlight right there. You see how there's that little highlight? If you were to draw a cylinder, and I'm just going to take this kind of pink color here. If you were to draw a cylinder, and you wanted that cylinder to look more realistic, what you could do is, right up there at that edge, you could take a very bright color and you could just kind of outline that space right there. And then that would give a sense of, well, there's that edge. And that's one of the things that your line art is good for, is to identify where these edges are. Right in here. Right along here. And when you're drawing, it's all about edges. And you can identify the edges of the object. You can identify the plane changes in the object. Whereas when you're painting, you'd be working with something like how intense is the shadow here, and how intense is the shadow there. And you can put a bit of a shadow here. You can put a very dark shadow over here. And then you can just kind of make it a lighter shadow as you go across. And figuring out how that shading works and doing these kind of value studies is one of the many things you can be doing with any kind of still life situation. You can put the shadow on the ball. We're here. And then you can go, well, having the shadow on the ball is one thing, but we would also like to have a bit of reflected light over here that's coming up from underneath. And then you might want a brighter specular highlight right up here. And putting these things into your work is making them look more realistic, but it's not necessarily something that you want to go photorealistic with, because you can just go and say, okay, let's start with like this bright pink right here. And then from that bright pink, then we'll come over here and we'll use the airbrush and we'll go, here's the shadow on the bright pink. And you do that. And you go, okay, there we go. And I need a little of that bright pink from reflected light to come in here. And I need that specular highlight up there. And now you've got something that looks reasonably good, but at the same time, I mean, if we turn this off, that's a fairly good little ball that we've done there. The contour needs a little work. Right in there. And then you might go, okay, I want a shadow right in there. Here's the shadow. We'll put that cast shadow in there. And then we'll kind of clean up the contour. And that's not bad. That's not bad at all. I mean, it's not great, obviously. but it's absolutely not bad. It has that 3D impression. And one of the things that you'll notice with it is you look at it and you go, well, I've been using black for my shadow, and by using black for your shadow, chances are very good that you've gone, oh, well, now I kind of sort of understand why people say don't use black for your shadow. Because the shadow's not black. It's a little bit darker version of the main color. So what you can do with that instead is you can go, okay, the shadow over here is kind of a sort of medium gray, I guess. Maybe a little darker than that. But the shadow on the ball is probably more accurately, you know what, let's erase that shadow completely. We'll just do the contour there. The shadow on the ball is probably more like if you drag the hue a little bit more toward blue and then you drop the brightness and raise the saturation a little bit. That is probably more the right color for the shadow. And by doing a bunch of still lifes, and by having some idea of what these things look like, you're going to develop a fairly good feel for what looks right. And for a highlight, you want to go a little bit, more like that, and you want to pull the color kind of in that direction. And now, if you take a look at the image and you look at how that looks, and then you look at how we've done that, I haven't done a great job. I haven't done a fantastic job by any stretch of the imagination. But this looks like a properly shaded ball. And by doing a whole bunch of stuff like this, you get that understanding and you get those skills. And it starts to become second nature. And it's because it's dumb and stupid and boring that you have to focus on these tiny little basic things. Like when you're trying to draw some hero in a dynamic pose, then that hero you're drawing in the dynamic pose becomes your focus. And because there's something cool and interesting to focus on, you don't focus on things like, well, how is the light hitting this character? Where is the shadow? Where are the highlights? What materials are this character's costume made out of? You know, how does the hair look? How does the hair move in the wind? You get concerned with all of these cool, interesting things, and you forget about all of this boring crap like this. And if you forget about all of the boring crap, what you end up with is you end up with something that doesn't have the boring crap. And not having the boring crap is actually very, very bad, because it's the boring crap that tells you whether the picture is done properly. It's one of the reasons that you can tell when something's been made by AI. And I honestly hate calling it AI. It's not AI, it's a machine. And it's not machine art, it's machine-generated content. It's not art. In order to be art, it had to start in a human being's head. And if the human being threw what was in their head into the machine, what came out the other end, I used to think it could be art. Really can't. You can turn it into art by using what comes out of the machine as input to a manual artistic process. But the art bits are what you do, not what the machine did. There was something else I wanted to talk about. And we're like half an hour in, but that's the benefit of still life. That's why you want to do still lifes. That's why you want to do this kind of thing. And honestly, we all have a camera in our pocket all day, every day. There is no excuse not to just take a picture of stuff that you want to draw later and then just get to it whenever. Okay, you can do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Snap a picture and pull it out later. So there was another thing that I wanted to talk about, which was this this technique that I occasionally use for practice. And I have no idea how to segue into this, so it's just like, fuck it, we're gonna talk about this other thing too. And the thing is, well, first of all, let me jump down here and pull up the reference picture. What I have here, incidentally, is a obviously here are some still life thingies. You can see the cylinder, and you can see a kind of longer cuboid right here. So you've got kind of still life stuff that's going on there. And then over here, I have this landscape thing that I've been working with. And I'm working on this technique. I feel like there's something in it, but I'm not sure whether I'm using it right. I talked about this last week. And anyway, let me kind of talk about this other thing. Let me turn off this layer. And now I'm going to turn on the reference layer. And I just okay, so here's the thing. Where's the vanishing point of this picture? The perspective of this image is so completely fucked. Like, let's just grab this bit right here and let's drag out a linear ruler. See, there's a linear ruler right there. Let's drag another one out. And notice how those two things cross right about here. Let me use a more obvious color. So like there's the vanishing point. So that being the vanishing point, that would mean our horizon is right here. But our horizon can't be right there. Do you know why our horizon can't be right there? Let me show you why our horizon can't be right there. Okay, so first of all, let's make this bit. Let's make that horizon line nice and dark. Can you tell why your horizon can't be there? Well, it's because we got a building up here. We got a building over here. Where's the vanishing point on this building? Let's line that up. There we go, right there. And let's line that up. There we go, right there. And now, okay, what the hell's going on here? And now here we are. There's the vanishing point. So our horizon line's right there, right? So now here's our horizon line. Everything in this image is just, it's completely wrong. All of the perspective is absolutely screwed up, okay? And the important thing that I want you to understand about all of the perspective in this image being screwed up is I grabbed this screen capture from an anime. So I want you to understand that this picture, with all of its completely fucked up perspective, this is the professional work of a professional who works in the anime industry and was paid for their work. This is worth paying for in the industry. Okay? It's completely wrong. Everything is fucked up. It's all screwy. Nothing makes sense. Somebody got paid for this. So whenever you're sitting around and going, oh, I don't know, am I ever going to be good enough to be like a professional artist? Yes. Yes, you're going to be this good, because this is not very good at all. It's kind of crap. And this person got paid. Okay? Whoever did this, they got paid to do this. I'm not sure which anime this is from. I'm pretty, looking at it now, I'm pretty sure that, because of that building right there, I'm pretty sure this is from Ascendance of a Bookworm. I'm not 100% positive. It could also be I spent 300 years killing slimes and maxed out my level. It's one of those two, okay? But this image from an anime is completely fucked up. And it's good enough to work in the industry. It's good enough to be paid for your work. It's good enough to show up in a professional production that people can watch on streaming and go, who the fuck did this? But yeah, this is awful. Anyway, I'm gonna tell you a thing that I do here and there. Is I'll have a reference picture and I'll look at it and I'll just go, okay. Now don't let me. Where's all of that other stuff? Okay, there we go. Okay, so let's go back to our appropriate one. Let's turn our reference back on real quick. Okay. Now, the edge of the harbor is right there. Okay? That's where I remember it being. Is that where it is? Yes, it is. All right. I did a good job. Now, the edge of the pier comes out at about that angle. It comes out to about here. How did I do? Almost. So let's whack undo a couple of times. I got the angle right. I got the length a little bit wrong. Let's try that again. There we go. That's pretty good. Okay, so what about here? What's the angle? What's the distance? It's about like that. How'd I do? That's a little bit long. So how about that? Still just a little bit long. How about that? There we go. That looks good. Now we'll come over here and this is parallel and it runs a little bit farther. Goes back to about there. How'd I do? Perfect. And I continue doing this kind of thing. Until I'm doing fairly well on the question of how close am I getting? And by doing this, I can immediately check my work and I can go, how's my memory? How does that look? And I can check these things out. Look over here, I can go, okay, that's fairly long, comes out to about there. Not quite. Up to about there. Again, not quite. There we go. But angle's a little bit off. So, turn that off. Man, I'm way off on this. And you can keep doing that until you get it right, or at least until you get it close enough for your taste. That's close enough for my taste. How we do there? Not very well at all. This comes all the way down. I imagined that edge right there. That edge isn't even there. There we go. But you can keep doing that kind of thing. And like up here, I can go, all right. All right, that's in. Now, what about this? How far out does that come? How'd I do on that contour? Pretty good. And there's the edge. And just outlining that harbor right there, just the amount of time that I spent doing that, I mean, that took like probably 5-10 minutes. And it's a fairly small thing, but it develops your ability to look at an image and go, what's that angle? What's that length? That's a useful skill. And because you can check it immediately by just turning it back on, you turn it on, you go, all right, I did a good job. And if you didn't do a good job, turn it off, hit undo, try again. That's fairly simple. And, okay, you know what? I'm going to go over my landscape method that I'm working on. And this, I don't know that this works very well, but I start with something in the orange vicinity, something that's like, something like this. And I get myself an area. And what I kind of want is I want this slope up, and then I want sort of this plateau. Okay? So here's sort of the profile of the land that I want to have right in here. And when I go in there to do that, here's the thing that I'm experimenting with. What I do is I pull the hue slider over and I give myself something a little bit more saturated, and then I just kind of dot in some color. We're gonna have some orange there. Do your recovery thing. Then we want to do that a little bit more, and we want to get slightly different colors in here. Because you'll notice up here in the side, you'll notice right here, I've got this image. This is a photograph somebody took in a forest, and this is like actual photographic forest floor. And I've been kind of looking at that and going, I want to do that sort of thing. This is not that sort of thing. But then what I do with this is I come over here to my blend and I just kind of take that blend and I blend the colors. Just kind of go back and forth. And then what I'll do after I've blended in those colors, I'll go back and I'll just kind of do it again. I go to the orange, we'll go with a little more red, a little more red, go back to my blend. There's my recovery thing again. I'll go back across it and I'll just kind of do this. Several times and give myself this kind of mottled look. And once I get kind of that sort of thing going on, where I've got the general sense of what I'm doing, then I'll switch to the fingertip blend. And with the fingertip blend, I'll kind of drag across the contour of the land. And you can see up here, the land is flat, of course. But here, the land slopes. So I'm going to drag in the direction of that and kind of pull these bands of color down. And I've been experimenting with this method to see if it can actually produce something that, looks good. And I do feel like there's something here. But I'm not sure how I feel about that something. I'm not sure whether I like it, And I kind of go in both directions to produce a sort of sweeping feeling to it. And then you can go back to blend and kind of soften it out some more. And I'm not sure whether there's anything in that. I'm experimenting with it, but I don't know how well how well that's going to produce meaningful effects that actually look like something that actually looks good. So I don't know how I feel about that just yet. I'm kind of messing with it, and you can see that I've got a couple of things that I did in that fashion over here, and I like how these came out. I like how these look, but do they look like anything? I don't feel like they do. So I have this unreasonable attachment to the fingertip blend, and I just want to I want the fingertip blend to produce cool effects that look neat and that I can use and say, oh, I used the fingertip blend tool for that. I don't know if I'm ever going to actually come up with anything that's decent or interesting in that vein, but I am working on it. I am trying to find stuff. So anyway, that's basically what I've been thinking about over the course of the past week. And do the little YouTube dance, like, comment, subscribe, all of that happy horse shit. And that's more or less it. So okay, bye.